Hey everyone, it's your boy Mastermind. I come to you with grave news today. In case you haven't heard, a matter of fact, I just found out about it like a couple hours ago, to be honest with you. I was working a shift and I was introduced to a new coworker of mine, and we were talking about our favorite bands, and I was saying, man, one of my favorite bands is Linkin Park. And he was talking about, hey, did you hear that the singer guy died from suicide? And I was like, what? That doesn't sound right. You're joking, right? You're joking. So then I looked it up on my phone and it said, yeah, Chester Bennington, dead at age 41. He committed suicide by hanging. And it just really affected me. I was like, oh my God. Because, this is going to be a very personal video for me. Because if anybody knows me, they know that Linkin Park is one of my all-time favorite bands of all time. Their music has just been a part of me ever since I was in middle school, which I'm going to talk to you about in a little bit. But yeah, so Chester Bennington, member of Linkin Park, he is dead at age 41, and he committed suicide by hanging. And Mike Shinoda confirmed it on social media by writing, "Shocked and heartbroken, but it's true. An official statement will come out as soon as we have one." Is this the end of Linkin Park? I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. But anyway, I thought I'd take this time to sort of bring you through my journey as a fan through life with Linkin Park and just highlight some of the memories that I have with the band. So I first got into Linkin Park through listening to 101.1 WJRR, which is a rock station here in Florida. My stepdad really got me into rock and to heavy metal and all that stuff. And I believe that the first song that I heard was Crawling. And I think it's funny because when I first heard it, because I was not very good at listening, I would misinterpret the lyrics, and I misheard a lot of the lyrics. So it's like I thought I knew what was, what was being said. I remember, what was it? One lyric that I thought I heard was, "Fear is how I fall, the music, what a trio," instead of, but the actual lyric was, "Fear is how I fall, confusing what is real." It's just crazy what goes on when you're a 10-year-old. So yeah, I got into them as soon as their debut album, Hybrid Theory, hit stores back in 2000. I was 10 years old at the time. And I remember, just off the top of my head, I remember that Points of Authority was played in the Little Nicky movie, which I really loved. I loved that song so much. As a matter of fact, I remember because I was in middle school at the time that I used, we had to come up with an assignment that took, I believe, what was it? I don't remember the exact details of the assignment, but it was something along the lines of you had to take certain words. I don't know if they're increments of measurement, like kilometer, centimeter, millimeter, stuff like that, and then turn it into a song to kind of make it memorable. But I remember that I used In the End as a tune to do the assignment. And I also remember we had an assignment where we had to, I believe, take lyrics and kind of recite them in a very poetic sense. So I used the lyrics from Paper Cut to recite them in class. I just remember that I was so mad that day, and I don't remember what it was, but it really made me, I was preparing, I was rehearsing it in my head, and I was ready to do it, but then something happened. I don't remember what it was, but it got me so upset, and I really didn't want to do it, but I just pulled through it. And I have to say that Hybrid Theory was one of the first of only a few albums where I liked nearly every song on it at the time. The only two songs that I didn't really like on it was With You and A Place for My Head. But then when I recently listened to it this year, when I sat back and really listened to it, I actually loved all of it. So I can say that I love each and every single song on this album. Now on to Meteora. Now this came out in 2003, so I was 13 at the time. And I remember my favorite song off that whole album was Breaking the Habit at the time. As a matter of fact, I want to read to you now one of the footnotes from the band off of Meteora. It says right here, "Mike had been trying to write a song around this lyrical idea for over 5 years. He tried this theme a number of times, but nothing seemed to do the song justice. Meanwhile, during the process of putting together this album, Mike began working on an interlude, crossing a digitally manipulated beat with strings and piano. Unexpectedly, Brad and Joe suggested that Mike turn the 2-minute interlude into a full song. Tentatively titled Drawing, the piece was extended to 3 minutes and 16 seconds when Mike took it home to write lyrics. In less than 2 hours, the lyrics that he had been trying to put together for years fell into place. With some finishing touches, live piano, and live strings, the song was finally complete. 6 years in the making. Wow. I'm telling you. I mean, that's why I love this band. I mean, they put so much time and effort into their records. I know this might sound weird, but in my opinion, you're not a true fan of a band or an artist unless you have a physical copy of their media. Matter of fact, I remember when I was around the time Meteora came out, I was on a summer vacation to Chicago, and I remember with me that I took, and also on my days to class, I would carry a Walmart bag with Meteora, System of a Down's Toxicity, and Alien Ant Farm's Anthology. Those were my favorite albums at the time, and I would carry it around in a Walmart bag with my CD player, and whenever we had permission to listen to music, I would listen to that. So then followed up with that was Collision Course, which was a collaborative effort between Linkin Park and Jay-Z. And I didn't own a physical copy of it, but I knew about it from my stepdad, and I believe he still has the physical copy of it. But at the time, I thought it was interesting. I wasn't really much of a Jay-Z fan at the time, or just in general. I mean, I like Jay-Z, but my favorite rapper of all time is Eminem. And then fast forward to 2006, when a movie called Crank came out. I remember that Chester Bennington made a cameo in that. He was the guy that suggested to Jason Statham's character, Chelios, to try some nasal spray, and that it had epinephrine in it. It'll get you tweaked, man. Yeah, I remember that. The next album that popped up was Minutes to Midnight, which came out in 2007. So I was 17, which means I was a junior in high school. Now, I didn't purchase this album, but a buddy of mine in high school bought it, so we would listen to it at his house. And I remember one of the first singles I heard off of it was in the Transformers movie. It was What I've Done. And, I liked it, but it wasn't my favorite song off that record. My favorite song at the time was Leave Out All the Rest. I mean, that song really touched me. And I didn't like all the songs on the album. I liked maybe some of the heavier stuff, and of course, Leave Out All the Rest is one of the exceptions to that. But like I said, once I went back and revisited the album, it definitely sounded much, much cooler, and I like a lot more songs now. All right, fast forward to 2010 with the release of 1,000 Suns. I was 20 at the time. I didn't like the new direction that they took with their first single, which was The Catalyst, so I kind of stopped listening to them after that. And then in 2010, Chester had a role in Saw 3D, The Final Chapter. And even though, he died in it, it was still cool to actually see him in it. At first I didn't recognize it until I watched it a little bit later, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's him! Oh my gosh, that's the guy from Linkin Park, that's so cool. And fast forward to 2012 with the release of Living Things. I was 22. I think this was around the time that I rediscovered them again. I stopped following them after a while, but around when this came out, I decided to give them another go, and I really liked Burn It Down. I mean, I still wasn't quite as fond of the change in the sound, but in my opinion, it was way better than 1,000 Suns. Even though it was electronic rock now rather than just nu metal or hard rock or whatever they categorize themselves as, I definitely felt that this was a step up from them. Next up, 2014 with Hunting Party. I didn't know about this record until much later, honestly. And I'm not sure when I found out about it, but I just remember that at the time I was very happy that they at least slightly returned to their hard rock sound. I loved Guilty all the same. And I especially loved Rebellion, which I thought was really cool because it was a System of a Down collaboration, which in my mind, had I heard that, when I was still fresh in middle school, that would have been a dream come true for me. And finally, their most recent release as of now is One More Light, which came out this year. Now, I'll be honest, when I first heard Heavy, I was so mad. I was like, what is this? You guys sound just like everybody else on the radio. How does that... where's the, you're a rock band. Where's the guitar? Where's the screaming vocals? I mean, I know that, not all their records had screaming on it and that Chester actually sang some songs. But I don't know. I was craving that, that typical Linkin Park sound. Like I said, I heard all the different arguments that people made, they're allowed, you're allowed as a group to experiment and try new things. And I'm all for that. Absolutely. So I decided to give them a chance and hear them out. And, there were only 2 songs that I liked off that record, and that was Good Goodbye, which in my opinion kind of sounded like something that the Fort Minor Project would put out. And the other record that I liked was Sorry for Now. I felt that those two songs were the very defining moments of that record. So yeah, that's been my journey with Linkin Park, and I'm not really happy about hearing the news about what happened because it just made me think like, what could have led him to commit suicide? I mean, he seemed so. At least, I mean, I'm pretty sure he was dealing with a lot of stuff, but I didn't. I wasn't sure what had led him to commit suicide. I I just can't fathom it. I really can't. But but yeah, so that's my journey with them as a fan. And Linkin Park, I don't know if you're gonna watch this or not because I mean, they saw the Teens React video. So if they can watch that, I mean, they can watch anything. I mean, you never know who's watching when you put stuff out there. But if you guys are watching, I'm sorry for what had happened, and I hope that you guys continue to do whatever it is that you're led to do as a group, whether individually or collectively. And I'm gonna keep you guys in my prayers because I know what it's like to lose a brother. So I hope that you guys, get better. I hope you guys continue to do what you love and just rock on. So what are your fond memories of Linkin Park? What were your experiences like with them? Feel free to leave them in the comments below and let me know what were your experiences growing up with Linkin Park, or how you discovered them, or what they mean to you, or anything. So until next time, this is your friend Mastermind saying I love you all, and I hope you have a blessed day. See you later.